our player tip of the podcast is don't be a dick. And you can avoid dickitude by changing the conditions of the encounter. The biggest example of this is the Kobayashi Maru encounter from Star Trek. If you don't know what that is, basically it's a simulation in Star Trek where they can't win, right? There's no win condition. And so here comes big bad Kirk. Yeah, I almost want to say Picard because the things just showed up on my Netflix. Kirk comes in here and he changes the system to work in his favor. And he broke the system. Players, you can do that as well. And it's so interesting the amount of we've talked before about the power that the players have. The DM designs the encounter, but you can break it in a way that is in your favor. So a couple of good examples is if the enemies are expecting you, the big barbarians making a lot of noise, or knocking down doors, stepping on nails that were on the other side of the door. Instead, change it from just going into where they're expecting you. Find a way to flush them out. Something that we've done in our games is we smoked the enemy out. Eventually they start choking, they come piling out. How about the PCs, set up camp outside and of the enemy's camp and lure them away, making noises, using dancing lights. If dancing lights starts dancing around out in the distance, they're going to get up and walk and go take a look and investigate.
Right.
Yeah. John Wayne in True Grit.
Yes.
He plugged the chimney and then smoked him out.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And those
Perfect.
are the sorts of things as a player you can do. And you can even take this to an extreme limit. Let's say an enemy takes a person hostage, because that doesn't ever happen in our game, right?
Oh, yeah,
and they try to use it for leverage. Now, the cleric can resurrect somebody. So, rogue just turns, pops the victim, then goes after the enemy. All leverage is gone because you can resurrect them. That's not the best scenario, but it is. You're taking away the status
one
quo
thing that they're
leveraging, right? And because you can get away around it, and you have that power as a player.
What would you do if you did do that? What would you do as the guys who had the hostage? I guess because I know you did. Would you have them in shock? Would you
probably be like, that's savage.
Yeah. I've altered the deal. Pray I do not do so again.
That's the speed tactic.
Yes.
Shoot the hostage.
Yeah. And no, I'm not, like I said, I don't think that's the best example, but that's
for
an
a rogue it
extreme
might
thing.
be.
Yeah, the rogue might not care. Paladin might have another problem. He's like, you can resurrect him later. It'd be fine.
If you shoot them in the leg and now they can't move as well, you've just slowed down their entire group.
Yeah.
Or with my pirate here. Oh, you have a hostage? What makes you think I care?
Right.
Yeah, it's another thing too. It's like, what if the players don't care about the hostage?
Well, that was just an example.
Yeah.
So we can move. To something else. So let's say you're hunting. I know how much Alan loves dragons. You're hunting a dragon because your party just thinks they're badass and they're up to the task. Level 20. They've got 3 boons from deities. They're ready for this challenge. And you get there and they're ready to slay them. What is it you did recently to a dragon to bypass the encounter entirely? So obviously the goal was to fight the dragon, but you changed it. How did you do that, Ian?
Well, I was running a force-domain cleric, and I at that point could cast a fabricate spell. And I'm like, hey, if you don't fight us, I'll use my bag of holding full of gold here to create a statue of you.
And then you didn't have to fight a dragon, because guess what? Dragons are hoardy little bastards.
And quite vain, too.
Yeah, right? So a golden statue in their
fight like a red dragon.
Ooh, I'll have to check that out. I like it.
That's smart, though.
So, yeah.
Just like, hey, here's this for you. And they're like, I like you.
Yeah, I mean, that and that's a good example of a player altering the design, because the DM honestly probably didn't expect that. They expected this to probably come to fisticuffs, right? And the player said, well, what is a way I can get around this? And you can do that. You have that power as a player. So consider the Kobayashi Maru next time you're in a scenario that you, A, don't think you can win, or B, you don't want to deal with. So,
yeah.
Have you ever run into anything like this, Alan?
Oh, yeah. That's I had a encounter on a ship setup where they had a bunch of ghouls and gas that were ready to take it in, and my players said, no, and they backed off. They took one look and they said no. They backed away from that. They basically put on their shoes and they ran away because they said there ain't no way we're gonna fight these guys and win.
And sometimes that's the best strategy.
Mm-hmm.
They might have been able to, but it would have been a horrible encounter. And then because they were afraid they knew it was about time for a long rest anyway, they found an abandoned building because it was an abandoned seashore because, of course, there's ghouls there.
Right. Yeah.
And they hid in the attic. And I had to pull an encounter in the attic out of my ass to give them something to do.
Been there. Everyone, why don't we take a 5-minute break because I have to get my thoughts together.
I just gave them a mirror that had there was an image in it, and they had all kinds of things because they could only work with sign language.
Oh, that's cool. I love that.
And it was one of those mirrors that was on a round mirror on a stilt, and the rogue decided they were going to go back and see what was in these chest of drawers behind there, and so I had the mirror flip on them.
That's cool.
But it was a fun encounter.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
And that's something to consider as a player. You can alter the rules of engagement. We talk about you always have the option to run away. That's not always true, but it should be. There should always be alternates, but you take time to think about it and figure out what you can change in the situation to shift the status quo. So, I think that'll do it for our player tip. Don't be a dick. And you can avoid dickitude by changing the conditions of an encounter. Hey, thank you so much for all your support and watching our video. We hope you enjoyed it. We are the hosts of the Crit Academy, a Dungeons & Dragons discussion podcast.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button.
And be sure to ring that bell. Get our latest content as we toss it out there, and it's good stuff.
Everyone loves fat loots and great D&D inspiration. Keep your blade sharp and spells prepared, heroes.